Hello everybody, welcome to our webinar. My name is Sergey. Today we will talk about automating different browsers on a local computer. Before I start, as usual, I will ask everybody to keep silent. Please mute your audio lines. If you have any questions, please use private chat. Address your questions to me directly. I will have Q&A session at the end. I will have chance to answer them. Before, a few words about who we are as the company. We've been in the business over 20 years. We position ourselves as a full-stack cross-platform testing solution. With the ZAP-Test, you can automate applications on different platforms. We support mobile, iOS and Android, Windows, Mac, Linux platforms, and we fully support agile development methodology. We are based in Atlanta, Georgia. Our core technology is one script, which allows us to script test procedure once and execute it anywhere. We are the test optimization leaders, which means that with ZAPTEST you can automate any application, you can meet any development schedule, and you can accommodate any skill set of your team members. As a full stack technology, we provide end user test automation in a cross-platform fashion. This means that you can create your test script on one platform or environment and play it as is anywhere else. Besides that, we offer other technologies which are not commonly offered in the industry. For example, with ZAPTEST you can auto-generate test documentation. This may offset a lot of man-hours of writing documentation manually. ZAPTEST can do it for you. We also have technology for parallel device execution. The MRun ensures just-in-time regression testing. With MRun, you can connect to multiple devices with different platforms or different browsers and execute same test simultaneously on all of them. We also have device host management private cloud system, which we provide to ZAPTEST users. The ZAP Farm offers test device management capability and provides universal access to the devices across organization for different purposes. You can use it for manual testing, automated testing, parallel test execution, or for application deployment. With ZAPTEST today, you can do API or web services testing. You can use the tool for an API standalone test automation or for building combined API and UI testing framework. Recently, we released the load component, which enables our users to do API performance testing as a continuation of quality assurance process. As you can see, today ZAPTEST can be used as a one-stop solution for majority of quality assurance needs. Okay, now I will move on to the main part of the webinar. I will demonstrate today how we can use ZAPTEST to automate a test case against a web browser, one web browser, and use it other different web browsers. For my demonstration, I will use ZAPTEST website. I'm going to open it in Firefox. The test case which I will automate will perform login step first. Once the login is successful on this page, I will verify the welcome message. Then I will use the user zone menu to navigate to the downloads page. On the downloads page, I will verify several things: version of the ZAPTEST, license agreement, read more link, and then I will perform logout. And at the end, I will close the browser. So the website is on a home page, which is starting point of my test case. I'm going to use ZAPTEST now to scan it. To scan, I will press the scan button and click inside the browser window. For the application object, I will define its name, homepage. I will use default name for the view. From the homepage view, I need to keep two objects, one for ZAPTEST logo, another for the login link. So I selected those and deleted all others. On the home page, I click the login link, which brings me to the login page. And I'm going to scan it now. ZAPTEST offers me to create new application object because title of the page has changed. I'm going to define name for the application object, login. From the second view, I will keep objects which I will use to enter values for username, password, and for the login button. For this, I will keep username with the edit field, password with the edit field, and one object which represents image for the login. Using the name property, I can update logical names of the objects. I will change my edit fields. And for the image of the login button, I will also change its name. Okay, let me log in my session. In the test, I will be using test user accounts. Okay, this is the third page that I need to scan. Use the scan button again. ZAPTEST finds that the application did not change, so I'm still on the login application. I just need to add another view. From this view, I need to keep two objects, one for the welcome object, welcome message, another for the user zone link. Right now, I have all links joined together as single object, so I can simply select this object and modify it. Let me first delete all others. For this object, I will keep just the user zone. I can select high precision and partial recognition, so ZAPTEST finds it without any problems. Let me confirm this. Okay, so far I have number of test objects added to the repository, so I can start building my test script. I will use homepage application object in my first step with the launch method. I need to launch the browser, which needs to be parameterized. So I typed its value and select use parameter. And for the parameter name, I will use browser. Also, I need to provide URL. Which also needs to be parameterized. As the next step, I need to go to my first view, which represents home page. I will use the ZAPTEST object with exist method to verify that the home page is correctly displayed. Then I need to click the login link. So with this object, I use the click method. Once on the login page, I need to verify it first. So I use the username object with the exist method. Then I need to type or enter values for username and password. For this, I will be using type method. The test user account also needs to be parameterized, so I select the use parameter. Same is for the password. I need to make parameter for this one too. ZAPTEST identifies that the parameter name is password, so it offers me to encrypt it. It's okay, let's encrypt. To submit the login page, I need to press the login button. For this, I will use click method. On the user zone page, I need to verify a welcome message, so I use this object with exist method. In my test, I plan to use different test user accounts, so the welcome message text will change. I'm going to parameterize it, so I press the parameter button on its text property, and I will define parameter welcome to hold the message of the welcome greeting. Also, I can change its name to remove reference to the user account, make it more generic. As a next step, once we logged in, I want to perform this. I need to mouse over the user zone link and select downloads. If I try to scan this, mouse over is not working, so I cannot see items in the links menu. If I press Control key, I can control my mouse, so I can expand the links, but as soon as I release Control key to scan, it disappears. That means that I cannot use traditional scanning to capture it. What I can do, I can simply capture it with the image. I do print screen with the menus expanded. I can use image editing program. Example paint program. Paste it here. I have items for the menu. Select this part. Okay, now I can scan it. I don't need to create new application object for this. It should be part of the login application. I just need to add view for this. Okay, there are a few objects that I need to use. Let me select user zone here. Let me select downloads link. Delete all others. In order for ZAPTEST to find the correct downloads, I want to include it in the area object. Let me define new area. So it's a good practice. All the menu links should belong to the area. Find the subject is the area, relative to the user zone. And the download link also should be made relative to the area. I change properties for the user zone to make sure ZAPTEST finds it with the partial recognition. And I can test position of the downloads using the locate button. Okay, so it looks good, and I can add it to the script. First, I need to do a mouse move to the user zone and then click the downloads link. I'm going to save this test. And steps that I added so far can be run. Often close my browser window and run this test. In my browser, I can see that my test successfully navigated to the downloads page. So I can explore test results to make sure all looks good. Okay, to continue my test, I can scan downloads page now. Create new application object for this. From this scan, I need few elements: user zone link, version of the ZAPTEST, user agreement, and read more. Can remove this part. Last two steps on my test is to do mouse over the user zone, select logout, and close the browser. I cannot add logout link by scanning as you saw it. I can do the same thing with the image, capturing the image, or I can add it manually. Let me do this object manually, since it's just one object that is missing. ZAPTEST will find it by this text. I can also change its precision. And let me add steps. So once on a downloads page, I need to verify version of the ZAPTEST, exist method, license agreement link, and to do logout, I need to make mouse over the user zone. Click the logout link. After logout, we should get back on the home page. To confirm this, I can check for the login link. It exists. And to close the browser, I need to have my home page application object with the close method. Okay, now I can run this test from start to finish. ZAPTEST completes the test and closes the browser. If I look in the test results, I should have 100% completion. Okay, so now I have test which perfectly runs against Firefox browser. As a next step, I need to make it run on other browsers. In my data table, I have parameters that I have defined and use for the Firefox browser. I will add another line. Chrome. Of course, I need to specify browser type Chrome. I can copy the URL. I will be using different test user account, tester3, password, and the welcome message will change respectively to welcome tester3. In order to run my test against the Chrome, only Chrome, I can go to the test settings and set row number 2 in the data table iteration settings. So that test will pick second row to run the test. So let me run it. Okay, let me stop. For some reason it just the wrong browser. Okay, now I have it saved. And it should run it against Chrome. Okay, the Chrome browser works slightly different. It shows me warning for my password. It happens on Chrome only, and let me stop the test because it's not going to do anything this moment. So basically, I could switch test accounts to make it work for Chrome, but I know that other accounts have same issue. I need to take care about this message. What I can do, to scan it first. While scanning, I can try to focus on the dialog. When it's not focusing on the dialog, that means that the dialog is not a separate window, so I need to scan entire browser. Give it a name. Okay, I will keep a couple objects, one for the warning text, another for the OK button. change its name. And now I need to modify my test script. Since this warning key is specific to Chrome, I need to make a logical step. I can insert it here after we verify the welcome object. For the logical step, I will use if statement. If my browser equals then I need to perform these steps. My GUI map. First of all, verify that the message exists. Then click the OK button. Okay, hopefully the rest of the steps will be identical. Work on the Chrome browser. Run this test one more time. Log out. It's the browser. Okay, this time my test run was successful. If I open test results, you can see pass status. The third browser that I want to use in my test run is Internet Explorer. Let me add line in the data table for IE. I will be using different test account for the Explorer. Respectively, I need to change the welcome greeting. First, I will run this test exclusively on Internet Explorer. For this, I change the row number duration. Okay, let me open and review test result. My test ran on Internet Explorer without any issues. Okay, now in order to run this test on all three browsers, I need to switch back to run test on all data table rows in the test settings. And I will run it using all three browsers. Of course, ZAPTEST will perform test three browsers in three iterations sequentially, one after another. Okay, my test has just completed. Let me open test results. Okay, my test passed. And in the report, I have sections for each iteration. You can easily navigate through iterations to explore their details. If I need to see which browser was used, I can find it in the first step under each iteration where I have the launch command. So I have Firefox, Chrome, and Internet Explorer. Also, I can find what user ID was used. Tester 2, Tester 3, Tester 4. And for all other details, I just need to expand all lines, expand lines to open images. So this way I can have full picture of the test execution with all related objects, statuses, and images. Okay, so this test covers 3 browsers. For Chrome browser, I also accounted the different workflow when it displays warning for the message, warning for the password. In the future, when I change test user accounts, this warning may not pop up. If I run this test and warning does not appear, I will have a failed step. At least 2 steps fail. The test won't be able to find this message and will not be able to click the OK button. I can modify my test to make this step optional. First of all, I can make it work for all browsers. For this, I need to remove reference of the Chrome. Instead, I can simply check for presence of this for this object. If I use if statement with the exist method, it will return true or false. So if ZAPTEST finds this object, I can perform steps inside the if statement. I need to limit timeout. I don't need to wait for default timeout for the exist. Seconds. Also, in the situation when this message does not appear, I don't need ZAPTEST to automatically report failed step. And for this, I need to use false as second argument with exist. In this case, if I need to verify existence of this object, I need to use additional step like this. Okay, so this script will verify this password warning for all 3 browsers. Of course, it will spend 5 seconds waiting for this message when it does not appear. It will slow down my overall execution a little bit, but it will work for all browsers and all test user accounts, even for those that don't have problem with their passwords. Let me run it one more time to demonstrate. Okay, let me open and view test results after this execution. And I have pass status without any issues. Okay, this concludes technical part of my webinar. Let's move on to the Q&A session. Again, please use WebEx chat to submit your questions. So far, I got one question. Does it matter if browsers launch in different sizes? Yeah, it's a very good question. It does matter. Let me show you an example with browsers. So I opened the Firefox and navigated to our website. If browser size is too small, the web application switches to the mobile version. So I cannot see menu links anymore. Of course, different websites may behave differently, but keep in mind that ZAPTEST relies on a visible part of the GUI. So smaller window may have less number of visible elements. So this may impact the test execution. As the best practice, it's good to have a window size consistent for test execution. In ZAPTEST, when you launch application under test, you can use height and width property values. ZAPTEST learned them from the time when you scan your application, first scan your application object, and optionally you can select restore window size flag to true. So this means that when you use launch method, ZAPTEST will open your application under test with preset height and width values, and those values are pixels, of course. So this way you can have your application under test window consistent with what you need for successful test execution. So you don't need to make additional steps or additional logic to handle changed application window size. By the way, if I run this test, all three browsers should open the same settings, width and height. As you see previously, my Chrome browser opened in maximized mode, but right now it has the same height as specified in the application properties. Okay, and my test result shows successful execution for all three browsers. So this is how you can use preset width and height for launching application under test. Okay, I have another question. What if password warning happens for random accounts? Question. Basically, nothing happens for my version of the test, since I already modified how password warning has been handled. Regardless of test account or browser, ZAPTEST will verify password warning. It will do this for 5 seconds. If you need to make it to perform this verification for a longer period of time, you can change the timeout. It's always in milliseconds. If I change it to 10,000, then it will wait for 10 seconds for that warning message. And this will apply to all accounts. Right now, one account and one browser triggers this message. If it disappears eventually, this test will successfully run. It will just wait for this number of seconds for the message to appear. So again, this logic handles all possible situations. Test account may or may not have this warning, and the browser, any of the browsers may have or may not have this warning. So in all cases, I will have this test successfully over this. Okay, looks like we don't have any other questions. I will conclude my webinar. Thank you very much for participating. Please keep using ZAPTEST. Again, if you have any questions or issues, please use our forum on the website to submit your posts. We're happy to help you. Thank you very much for participating. Goodbye.